Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave. It's Jem here and today we're going to continue on in Summer Nights on our nameplate page for the HK5 project. What we're going to tackle today is some of the flowers, and any that I don't get finished I am going to finish off in my spare time, and that is for the simple fact that I do not have enough hours in the day just now. So there's roughly two different types of flowers. I would even dare say there's three, because these ones at the bottom look slightly different, but I'm going to keep it a little bit simpler. We've got these sunflower type ones, so I've got one set of pencils for those, and then I have another set of pencils for these other flowers. If anybody wants to suggest what species of flower they might be, feel free to drop me a comment. So I'm just going to have a quick run through the colours that I've got. So for the sunflowery type flowers I have Artichoke, which is PC 1098, Chocolate, PC 1082. This is Canary Yellow, which not much you can do about that anymore. Sunburst Yellow, PC 917, and finally Mineral Orange, PC 1033. For our other flowers, I've gone for sort of pinky tones. So I've got Mulberry, PC 995, Process Red, PC 994, and Hot Pink, PC 993. And for the centre parts of these, I'm going to use the yellow and the orange from the other sort of set of pencils. So that's where we're going with that. Let's get zoomed in and get started. Okay, so as per usual, I'm going to start on the right hand side of the page, and we're going to start with this one here. So I've got my artichoke and my chocolate, which is for the centre part, so I'm going to have a quick sharpen and then I can make a little start. This video was originally supposed to be a bonus video for probably Friday or Saturday. It is now Sunday's video, not that you guys will know any different. I am stretched so thin and I am beginning to feel slightly harassed, and that's not conducive to anything, so I have cut my losses and bit the bullet and decided that this will just be one of the scheduled videos because I don't have time to film extra videos just now. So okay, so that is just a light layer of the artichoke, and I'm going to switch over to the chocolate now, and I'm really just going to work around the edge, and it's just wee light feather, you know, feathery type strokes around the outside here, and I'm just going to navigate my way around some of the petals and these sort of inner parts. And you can see there that's left a sort of paler patch in the middle, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to blend in that chocolate around the outside and leave that middle part quite pale. Get a little bit more of the artichoke down like this. I may even go a step further, I think. I am going to grab my very short espresso. It's in a pencil extender now. And I'm going to give this a really good sharpen so I've got a nice pointy point on it. I don't know what other type of point you get, but it's going to be pointy. Just like this. And in some of these crevices, I'm just going to pop a tiny little bit in there. Oh, we're crumbly. Goodness me, we're crumbly. Just to show off the sort of depths and how the sort of little petal parts are sort of encroaching on that inner part. And I'm just going to go back over with my chocolate a little bit. Get it looking nice and deep and rich. So I've had one hella day today. I've had a bit of like an information overload today, and my brain actually can't take any more. I got really stressed out earlier because the cave is an absolute bomb site, and I just got to the point where I physically couldn't be in the room anymore. So I went and took my dogs out for a wander, and when I came back I spent 2 hours tidying the place up and reorganising things, and it made me feel a little bit better. I just feel really drained now. That's the only way I can describe how I feel. It's just one of those days today. I don't get days like this very often, so take it in my stride and just soldier on. Okay, so with my little canary yellow here, I'm almost at pencil extender stage with this as well. I'm just going to pick out the petals, and I'm going to put down a very, very soft tickle of the canary yellow on all of the petals. It is quite difficult to pick some of these out. So if I just take my time, I find this is something that really helps when I'm planning colours, just to be able to see the actual shape of what it is I'm colouring. Because sometimes when there's a lot of lines going on, especially when you've got leaf patterns like this nearby, it's just not the easiest sometimes. So I like to just make sure that I am sure of where my pencils are actually going. Get all these little ones in the middle as well. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a day like this. It really has. But I think that I was just very overwhelmed. There's a lot of stuff going on today, and I did a lot of stuff today, and I just seem to have people throwing stuff at me from every angle, and when I've got a busy day, having that on top of that, sometimes it's just a bit too much for me, and I get really stressed out. So, and the thought of filming another video as well also stressed me out, but I knew doing this type of video where it's a sort of tutorial type, that I actually really enjoy this, and I find this relaxes me. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. Bet you're all glad about that. There we go. So I've got that light layer of yellow down, which just looks a bit sort of washed out just now, but we're just about to remedy that. So I really just want the very, very tips of these petals to be that sort of bright yellow. So I'm taking, what did I say, sunburst yellow. And again, just with a very light hand, I'm going to bring that about 2/3 of the way up on each of these large, sort of longer petals. Going to make it look like a proper ray of sunshine. There we go. I really like this colour. I think it's a colour, I don't use it very often, you can tell by the length of the pencil, but it is a shade that I'm quite partial to. I don't seem to find a use for it very often. I say that about quite a few pencils though, that especially in the Prismacolor set, there's a lot of pencils that I really like. You know, I like the colour of them, I just don't necessarily use them. And I always say, I should really make more of an effort to use that pencil. But that's okay. We've all got our favourite pencils. If you do own a set of Prismacolors, I would love you to tell me what your favourite colour is in your set. I'm always quite curious about that with people. I like to know these things. Okay, so you can see that that's starting to stand out a bit more already. I'm now going to take my darkest orange, which is the mineral orange. And this is where we really get to work. So right in at the base of these petals, I'm just using a tiny, tiny circular motion, you can see there. And I'm just going to fade that out. And then I'm going to go back over it. I'm really going to deepen that down. And that's literally all I'm doing with it. It's just that tiny little blob. And then move on to the next one. And then we can just work our way around. You can see why if I don't get this finished within my sort of usual hour slot, I'm not going to do another video on this, because I'll be doing exactly the same thing. It's not like the birds where there were different patterns on each of the birds. These flowers will all be treated exactly the same way, so there's no point in you having to sit through another video. Plus that would be really boring. And we don't like boring, we like variety here at the cave. All about variety. I'm expecting Mr. Gem in at some point in the next hour, so there may be a mad flurry of barking and rumbling about. I will try and edit it out, as long as I'm not saying anything important. It's Pip and Woo. When we first got Pip as a tiny puppy, she never barked, and Woo has always barked when someone comes to the door. in recent years, she doesn't always hear people because she's starting to get a bit deaf now. She's getting on a bit. And so to begin with, when Pip was a puppy, it was only occasional barking, but it is a habit that Pip has picked up. So now, Woo doesn't hear the door going, but Pip hears the door going, so she starts barking, and Woo starts barking because Pip's barking, not because she's heard the door. It's very frustrating, especially see when you're sitting nice and quiet and you're painting or sketching and all is very sort of serene on the farm, and then all of a sudden Pip starts barking and it just about sends me through the ceiling. I swear blind, honestly, one of these days she's going to give me a heart attack. Mist used to bark as well, so we did have a spell of a year or so there where there was no barking at all because Woo didn't hear the door. And oh, speak of the devil, there you go. There we go, that's it, it's over. Yeah, we did have a spell there where there was no barking at all. Jock does bark, he doesn't bark in the house. Jock only barks at sheep when they won't do what he wants them to do. It's really funny to listen to him as well. He's got a really girly bark. It's funny. Okay, that's looking quite nice. So now that we've got this nice rich colour coming from the centre, I just want to build up the layers of the other colour because I don't want the tips to look really washed out compared to the centre part. So I'm just sort of, I'm more blending out the mineral orange rather than putting down more of the yellow here. Either way. That's all the dogs have gone to see Mr. Jem now. He must be rustling about in the kitchen. The wind's really picked up outside as well. I do have the cave window open. It's been quite warm and quite stuffy, so I've just left it open. If I want to open and close it, I do have to climb up on the desk to do it, so if it's bearable, I just leave it. There we go. That looks great. And finally, we'll just finish off these tips with another bit of the canary yellow. Get this looking fabulous. There we go, that looks pretty good. Okay, for these ones in the middle, I do want them to stand out a little from the sort of larger petals, so I'm going to skip the mineral orange completely and I'm just going to use the sunburst and the canary yellow to give us some nice rich colour. And I'm not going to be too particular because they are teeny tiny, but I'm going to press quite hard on each of these and just pop a little bit in. I'm not going to start messing about with layers because these spaces are outrageously tight. There we go, just like this. And again, I'll go in with this canary yellow, just blend it into the other colour. Oh, Jock's back. Hi, Jock. You okay? He's come to see me. You coming up? Hello. Oh, there we go. Bump the camera. That's it. Periodically, if we are all in the cave, Jock will come up and he sits beside me on my right hand side, sort of down here beside the desk, and he just sort of looks at me, and what he wants is to be able to put his paws up on my lap and then put his head either on the desk like this way or against me, and he just wants a little pet, and then once you give him a little pet he just goes back down and he's quite happy. He's a very affectionate dog. He's looking at me, knows I'm talking about him. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's try one of these in our pinky colours. Again, I'm going to have a quick sharpen, guys. I'm not really very well organised. Just too harassed today. Too harassed. Truthfully, I feel better already. I am 15 minutes into filming and I feel better already. So, there you go. Colouring is definitely good for you. Alright, so we're kind of going to go through the same process here, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to have the deepest colour, which is our mulberry, and that's going to be on the outside of these petals. So just the same as before, always start with my lightest colour and always put a layer down, which is in this instance the hot pink. God. I can see I'm not going to get Peace to do this today. Pip has come in now. Jock is sitting with a toy and Pip's decided she wants it. So they're now talking to each other. I'm sure you can hear them squeaking away. God. That is very funny. I find it quite amusing when they do this. That pink's actually quite nice. If everything else wasn't so vibrant, that pink would look good on its own. It is a little bit more washed out on the monitor, but it's actually very delicate and nice. It matches the sort of sunset part here quite well. Okay, so now I've got my Process Not Red, because it's pink. And this is quite a sort of bolshy colour, you know, it's quite, so you don't have to press hard for it to be like da-da. So I am just trying to be as light-handed as possible with this. And I'm going to bring that down where these little black lines, which is obviously the creases in the petal, I'm going to take it down to those lines. And then I've got my mulberry. And I just want to sort of run my pencil, follow the line work, and then sort of feather it out a little bit. I may build this up a little bit more, you know, make it thicker. But I just want to get some more colour down first all the way round, and then we'll take it from there and we can make an executive decision. There we go. Again, I quite like this mulberry colour. I have to say, generally, I don't use my pinks a lot in any of my pencil sets. I'm not really drawn towards pink colours, and I'm not really a pink person. I would say they're probably some of my longest pencils and, you know, across all of my pencil sets. So that's again, I just think that's the way I am. I like earthy colours. I prefer earthy colours. I go through a lot of indigos and sepias and greens. Most of you know by now that green's my favourite colour. Okay, so that looks quite nice. So I'm going back to my middle colour. I just want to get another layer or two down here. Just start to make this a little bit more vibrant. Now you can see there the mulberry's kind of disappearing. So that's kind of answered my question for me. We are going to have to go back over that because I can't have that. There we go. So I'm going to go back with my mulberry now, and I'm going to press a little bit harder. Just really get that in around the edge. That's better. That's much better. Get it looking pretty. There we go. And I'm just going to put it in these because there's a sort of creased bit here, so I'll not go too heavy with it there. There we go. Now I can take my hot pink and I can start from the centre. I'm trying to decide, there's two wee bits in here. I think they're supposed to be petal coloured. They are now. We'll make them petal coloured. And then I can go back to my Process Red, and basically I'm just going to join these up now. So I'm going back to a slightly lighter pressure than I'd just been using there with the hot pink. Big sigh from Jock. It's such a hard life. Playing with toys, sleeping, getting taken for walks, getting fed. Occasionally doing some sheep work. Now that is looking a little bit patchy, so I'm just going to take my lightest colour and I'm just going to go over everything. There is going to be a sort of grain to the paper because if you remember I did spray the whole thing with fixative after putting the pan pastel down. So that is to be expected, but it's just a little bit too much for my liking. I think we can smooth it out a little bit more. There, that's better. With this little part here, I'm just going to use the process red and the hot pink because I'm imagining it's kind of folded over, you know, towards us, like it's folded like this way. I'm not really very happy with this. I think I want to take the mulberry a bit further round, like round the sides. Maybe not everywhere. Maybe just in some spots. Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. That's better. We've got this little bud here as well. So I'm thinking it's probably not fully formed, so maybe it's not got its mulberry tips yet. So just where these creases are, I'm just putting like one heavy line round. And then I can sort of blend it out a little bit. And then using the mulberry, I'm just going to follow the line work around this edge. And that's to give it a more sort of, it's more of a shadow effect rather than the actual colour of, you know, what I think the petal is. And then I can use a touch of the process red here, around here. And I'm just following the lines. Nothing terribly exciting there, but you can see that stands out quite nicely against this sort of mid part between the pink and the yellow pan pastel. So for the little part in the middle, I've got my canary yellow. And again, just mid pressure, really small area, so not too bothered about spending lots of time building up layers and layers. And then I can take my sunburst and just using that little flicky motion that I like to use so often, then we can just put a little bit of that in at the base. Again, we just want to make it look quite sort of rich, because these are exactly the type of flowers that our little bumblebee friends would be really into. They'd be like, oh, look at that. So we want it to look enticing. I know there aren't any bumblebees in the picture, but I'm sure they're lurking round about. They can't be far away with flowers that look like this, surely. Right, that looks okay. So I'm just going to zoom out now so that you can see everything in its entirety. There we go, and they are looking quite nice, and the colours are going well with our birds as well, so that's what we want. Right, what I'm going to do is now, I'm just deciding, I think I'm going to jump down the bottom, and then we can do the ones at the top, and I think we may be out of time, but that would only leave me 1, 2, 3 down here plus a bud, so that would be okay for me to do. There are these sort of tiny little petal type things, and I think I'm just going to make them yellow because they look as if it's flowers that have blown away in the wind, and they don't seem to match anything else that's in the picture. So I'm just going to use my canary yellow for them, and I'm quite happy to leave it at that. Yeah, so let's go to these ones down here. So we're going to go back to our pinky colours. Now these, to me, they're a different shape. The petals are a different shape. So I think what we might do is we might go the opposite way with the colours, just so that there is a sort of differentiation, and we can start with the mulberry in at the middle and work our way out instead. So I'll just get this hot pink down first. Just wang it on. like so. So I was listening to the radio the other day, and one of the headlines was that Scotland has the highest rate of drug deaths in the world. Now there's a title we can all aspire to. I knew that we had very high drug rates and, you know, like drug addiction rates and drug deaths in Europe, but I didn't realise that out of the entire world we are the biggest group of junkies. So it's not surprising though, really, because when you look at most of the larger towns and cities, you don't have to look very far to find someone that has a drug addiction. And Scotland can be a very depressing place in the winter, so again, you know, I'm not really surprised. Okay, so now we've got our process red, and again, just using that flicky motion, taking this up to roughly the edge of these crinkly bits, the little fold lines or crease lines. So that was quite a depressing statistic. But apparently what they were saying was, I can't remember what the exact figure was, but quite a high proportion of the deaths, you know, from drug related problems or complications, there was a really high percentage of them that it was to do with methadone, and in this country methadone is what they give you to try and wean you off heroin. So the fact that lots of people are dying with methadone in their system just doesn't really sound too good at all, does it? But yeah. Again, that's one of the reasons why, and I've talked about this before, when I go into the city, I always find a homeless person and I always take them something to eat. Or in the winter, I buy gloves and socks and give them to them. I never ever give them money. I will not give anyone money, because you don't know what they're going to do with it, and they're probably going to buy drugs or alcohol, or because many homeless people do have a dependency of some description. But I am very happy to buy them food and water. There was a man that used to be in Glasgow, and this was years and years and years ago. And he had 2 dogs, and he sold the Big Issue, which is the magazine that supports people who are homeless, and they can get a vendor's license. So the dogs were a really good sort of, you know, sob story point for him. But the dogs were very, very well looked after, much better looked after than himself, if that makes sense. And at Christmas time, he used to put a Christmas card inside his Big Issue magazine, and it was signed from him and the dogs, which was just adorable. And I did some work experience in Glasgow, so I was very young at that point. I was only 15, and every day I passed him, you know, the first couple of mornings I realised he was there, so every day I took something for each of his dogs and bought him a bacon roll, and he was eternally grateful for it, because he says he could always smell that, like the spots where he stood, obviously they all have like their own patches where they like to stand, and he says the smell of, you know, like bacon rolls and pies and things coming out the shop was just used to drive him nuts, because he was usually really hungry. So I was like, well, I can do that, I can get you bacon rolls. But that's just something I always do. See, I've told this. I know I've told this story already, but that was sort of spurred on when I was in Dundee. It was a while ago now, and I stood and watched someone spit on a homeless person because they had asked the person in the street if they had any spare, you know, coins, any change, and they spat on this person, and I vowed that at that point that I would not be one of those people that turned my head away. And if they, you know, if people do ask me for money, if anyone's begging in the street, I always acknowledge them. I don't turn my head the other way, and I don't ignore them, or I don't try and like circumnavigate them. I just say, I'm really sorry, I don't have any change. And that's just what I do now. And sometimes it can be a bit scary, especially if it's big, you know, when I say bigger men, I mean taller men that are clearly on something, you know, if they're on drugs or whatever. It can be quite intimidating, but you've got to remember that they're still people. and in their dog-addled state, they're not likely to mug you or anything ridiculous like that. So, I have trouble with social anxiety at the best of times, so it's taken a lot for me to do that, but I make a point of it every time now. It's nice to be nice. And that's just what I do. And one of the sort of cheaper clothes shops that we have, Primark, they have socks and boxers and gloves and things for like £2 or £3, and sometimes you get 2 pairs of socks for that. And I can't imagine being outside in the winter and possibly being wet and having wet feet, and you've not been able like to wash or clean your feet and have warm dry socks. So I always think socks is always a good one, because there's nothing better than a nice, fluffy, woolly pair of clean socks when you're cold. Oh, I think so anyway. But yeah, that's just what we do now. I'm just trying to get a little bit more depth in at the base of these petals. And I'm using this sort of flicky motion, and I've kind of done it over here as well, and I'm kind of liking it, and I've just done it as I've been talking. I didn't actually intend to do it. But it's just giving a nice sort of texture to these petals without looking too scrappy. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah, that looks okay. Right, we've just got this little one to go now. Back to my process red. Get some of this in here. Yeah, so even this morning, I was in the city this morning. I had a few things to do actually, and I checked my PO box, which was delightful today. But there was just, even that was stressful this morning. I've just had a very stressful day. After I have finished this, I still have dinner to cook, and then I'm gonna have to edit this video. After that, it's probably going to be about 9 o'clock by the time I get through all of that. But I am going for a bath, and I am going to bed. And I'm going to go to bed early tonight. That is just what is happening. I have made my mind up, and I've been thinking about going to my bed since about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, good grief. Alright, so you can see those ones down the bottom in comparison to the ones over here. They do look a bit more delicate because I've left this sort of much paler edge on them, which is really nice. That's working quite well. So I just want to take my yellows and oranges quite quickly now. I'm going to get all these wee sort of blown off petally type ones. I'll just pop those all in. I think this nameplate page is one of the ones where it's a really nice balance between busy sections, like the pattern on the birds, etc., and just nice simple images like simple flowers. I think that Hanna Karlzon has got the balance absolutely perfect in this nameplate page. I think it's the one in Daydreams is very, very busy. There's a lot going on in it, and this one's, that's much more to my liking. I don't mind busy pictures, but I just think that this looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Right, I'm just having a wee tickle over the top of these. I'm not really pressing very hard at all. Would you like a wee tickle? There we go. And what I want to do now, I'm going to jock. I'm just taking the sunburst, and I'm going to put that little sort of C shape round these circular parts, like these little knobbly bits. It doesn't matter which direction you do it in. I tend to do it that way because, again, lefty. But right-handed people will normally do it in a C shape as like a ABC shape, not as in C shape. I'm just going to stop now. Oh, I think because I'm tired as well, I'm very rambly today. Well, more rambly than usual. I really want to do another one of these sunflowers because I really enjoyed doing that one. So I'm going to come up the top here. This one's a little bit smaller, so we might struggle a wee bit with the smaller petals that are around the centre. But we'll start again with our artichoke. And just pop a really light layer of that down like I did before. That's super nice. I really like that artichoke pencil. It comes in really handy, and I never use it to colour, large sections of anything, but see, just for a base colour or just for adding in a highlight on like a paler colour, I really like it. It's really good. So only ever use it for little bits and bats, but it's just the right colour. Because it can go either way. It can go into greens, no problem, and it can go into yellows as well, and it also goes into browns. So it's a very versatile colour. I have actually seen me use it as a light sort of shading pencil for, again, for yellows. I've done that quite a few times. It's a good all-rounder. It's a good egg. Or a good artichoke, as the case may be. Oh. I swear blind, the longer that this channel goes on, the worse my jokes get. I'm convinced of it. Either that or Mr. Jem's rubbing off on me, which there is a high chance of that. His jokes are terrible. They're absolutely awful. But we're at the point now where we're kind of predictable and we know each other's jokes. It's like if you ever ask Mr. Jem what day of the week it is, he'll tell you the day and then he'll say, all day. So like when you say to him, what day is it? He says, Tuesday, all day. Like, yes, that's hilarious because I've never heard that one before. It's like a joke my granddad would make. Oh, see, there's lots going on here and I'm just trying to pick out what actually belongs to this sunflower. I think that's us. Yeah. Okay, onto our sunburst. Now again, bring that quite far up. So Mr. Jem and I, we don't watch a lot of TV. I think that's actually leaf in there. Well, it's petal now. And we've just started watching, we took a notion to watch a, you know, like a box set of something. And we've just started watching Better Call Saul. Now we were huge fans of Breaking Bad when it was, you know, doing the rounds. And we kind of want to watch Breaking Bad again, but I said we should watch Better Call Saul first. So we started that the other night, and I'm confused. I am so confused. And it's kind of annoying me because in my head I can't actually concentrate on what's going on in the story because I'm too busy thinking, well, how does that end up being the way it is in Breaking Bad? Because the Better Call Saul is supposed to be like a prequel or a precursor to Breaking Bad, so it's kind of distracting me, if I'm honest. I do think that Bob Odenkirk, the man that plays Saul, I do think he's an excellent actor. I really like him. And I got really excited when Mike Ehrmantraut popped up. I was like, yeah, it's Mike. Because Mike's another one, you know you shouldn't really like him because he's a bad man, but you do like him. So yeah, having fun watching that just now, but I'm trying to concentrate on it. I find the first episode especially very, very slow, and I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. You know, everyone said, oh, it's really good and that. I was like, right, okay, and then I thought, oh no, after watching the first episode. But I stuck it out, and I'm kind of getting into it now, but see, every time something happens, I'm like, well, how does that end up being Breaking Bad? Because if that happens, it's not going to be like it is a Breaking Bad. Just stop. Just watch the damn programme. But the lawyer guy at the big lawyer firm where Saul's brother works, what's his name? Howard. I want to smack Howard in the face. I really do. He's just got one of those faces. He's, oh, just... You know, some people just instantly, you don't, even though they've not done or said anything to you, but some people just sort of, you find abrasive. I find him abrasive. And he's definitely not all the goody two-shoes that he's making himself out to be. It's like he's trying too hard. Okay. Good stuff. It's hardly even worth my while with these tiny little bits. We'll keep going. This canary yellow seems to be like the never-ending pencil. It's been short forever. It's lasted a long time, and I know it's one of my old pencils because it's still got that sort of barcode sticker on it, and that was like one of the first sets of pencils that I had. You know, like the old Prismacolors. It was one of them. That's probably why it's lasted so long, because it's one of the old style ones. Haven't had the same breakage problems that you seem to get with the newer ones. I can't even tell you how long I've had this pencil. It's been a while. All right, I'm quite happy with that now. So let's get a little start on this flower now. And I think I'm going to go the same combination as I did with this one, because the petals look a kind of a similar shape. Yeah. So let's do that then. Get this edge as well. I can see my pan pastel sort of sneaked over onto that part, and I've not rubbed it off properly before I put my fixative down, so that part's going to be, it's going to look a little bit darker, but that's okay. It's just one tiny part. We'll not worry too much. I don't know if you can hear the wind outside, but wow, it's really picking up. I have a sycamore tree outside the cave window, and it's getting a bit, it's actually starting to block some of the light in now. But the branches are obviously, all the leaves are in full bloom, as it were. And it's very distracting because when it's windy they blow about a lot, and I always think that there's somebody waving at me or something through the cave window. That's funny. It's also good though, because if I'm trying to do things in the cave in the morning, that's where the sun is. We get the sun first thing in this room, and it does a really good job of blocking out a lot of sunlight. The only thing is, if I'm filming a video, it gives you that sort of weird dappley, you know, shadow. And it all gets a bit trippy. But I made the conscious decision to put the desk at the window. I could have had it anywhere in the room, but I really wanted to be able to look out the window when I was working. So it has its pros and its cons. But yeah, I like sitting here at the window. I also, when I'm arting, I do prefer to work in natural light. I have quite a strong dislike for bright lights, like artificial lights. And I do use little LED lights when I need to, you know, especially in the winter. We don't get, you know, many hours of sunlight, so I do tend to use them in the winter, but I try not to as much as possible. And that in the winter I have a really good habit now of filming all my videos like in the middle of the day, and I just sort of augment my work schedule around it to accommodate that, because I would rather work with natural light. But in the dead of winter, we only get, you know, a couple of hours proper daylight, and then it starts to get dark again, so that's just what we have to endure. So we do. But it's okay, it's not stopped me so far. We managed through the winter, no problem. Like when I started the channel, well, when I started filming videos for the channel, it was January, and the channel went live in the March, so it was still really dark at that point anyway. And we managed just fine. So we will continue to manage just fine. I can get some of my hot pink down now. I'm just going to start blending this together. I would love to know what Mr. Jem is doing. I do wonder sometimes. Oh, I know what he's doing. I can hear the microwave. He's making soup. He must be hungry. He's going to have to wait for dinner. Okay, so let's just bring this mulberry round again like we did last time. You know, down the side of the other flower. That was Jock sighing as well. Everyone's so hard done by today. Myself included. Yeah, let's get a little bit more of that down as well. Just blend out some of that mulberry a bit more, I think. And I'll use this Process Red up here again. Oh, pink on the go. There, that doesn't look too bad over the top of that pastel either. And one final shot with our yellows. So I've got my canary yellow, my trusty canary yellow. Pop a little bit of that down everywhere. Quick circular motion, not using a heavy hand at all. I'm just going to give my sunburst a quick sharpen. And then we'll just pop a little bit in at the bottom, like so. And then I can go back over with the canary. Hairy canary. And voila. Okie dokie. That's looking pretty good. Alright, so let's take a look at the entire picture. And there we have it. That's starting to come together quite nicely now. just smudged things all over the place. Yeah, so that's starting to look quite good now. We're coming along nicely. So for next time, I will finish off just these 3 flowers here. As I say, I won't be doing anything different to the ones that we've already done. So the next time you see this page, that will be done. And next time we can tackle our foliage, and we will do our beads and key as well, if we have time, that is. I'm hoping we will have and we can get it all done. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed another relaxing video in the cave, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.